Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Let me switch over to our Keebcast cam. We're gonna start a little early because we were actually just chatting a little bit about the Coca-Cola. Wait, can you guys see this? It's raspberry Coca-Cola, and I found out today they also have guys. They have maple syrup Coca-Cola. Do you know what I have to go find this week? They actually have maple syrup Coca-Cola. I am not kidding you.
I jokingly said, "What is there maple syrup Coca-Cola?" And Alex goes, "There actually is."
Mm-hmm. That's what was it? Quebec.
It's like Quebec syrup or something like that. Wait, you've had it? New Motions. What does it taste like? I'm genuinely really. I know it's Keebcast, but I'm kind of interested in maple syrup.
Thing
He said it slaps.
It does slap. But like, does it taste actually like maple syrup? Or is it just really sweet? Bro, I need to know. It's really important to me, a Canadian sweat dream. Where do you find the different flavors? This was just at, I don't know if every province has this, but Metro had this one here in like a pack of 4. And it's a glass bottle. By the way, if you guys have never had Coca-Cola from a glass bottle, it's different. Josh, thank you so much for your tier 1.
It's way better. Way better from the bottle.
Wait, Ashkeebs. Like,
yes.
and Reagan and Chase, we can all agree, glass bottle Coca-Cola is better.
Are you referring to like the Mexican bottled Coca-Cola?
Yeah, here we get the like straight from Mexico bottles of Coca-Cola.
Then that's the one.
Because they use sugarcane sugar.
It's way better. Yeah, that's like how A&W switched their root beer over from regular sugar to, what was it? Cane sugar? I think they switched it over to.
It's cane sugar, yeah. Cane sugar is actually...
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, I'm not... Obviously, disclaimer, I know jack shit about health stuff. Is that supposed to be better for you? Or more natural in a way?
I would think it's like less post-processing. I mean...
Beats me.
Maybe it's just marketing, but...
Invisual Gamer, thank you so much for your Prime. Chocolatine says, those glasses look really good on you. Thank you very much. But we're not here for me today. We're actually here for Mr. He's below me, Ashkeebs. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing really well. How are you and chat doing?
Chat, are you guys doing okay? Reagan, Chase, are you guys feeling okay today? I'm doing okay. I was a little tired before. That's all.
Yeah, I was about to say you took a little nap and you seem like you've come back with a good amount of energy. I'm sure the Coke helps.
Here's what happened. Let me tell you about what happened. I took 5 minutes and like napped, couldn't sleep. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? Get some sunlight. And then I went up, left the house, got some sunlight, walked around a little bit, went to the store, grabbed some snacks, and came home. Is that a Rama box behind Ash? I think so.
Yeah, so I've got my M65 in here, which I still haven't built because I have to lube some orders. And this is my Koyu box, but I have a bunch of my keyboards in my container.
Oh, that's cool. That's a nice storage unit, actually. Is
that
glass?
It's frosted. It's frosted glass, yeah. So you wouldn't be able to tell what was in there. So I recently moved into this place a few months ago, so I am waiting for my rug and my table set to come in. So I don't have any blinds because they took them when they left. So it's really just it's just free reign, you know. If you want to peek in, see me sitting on the couch watching TV, just nothing I can do.
It's just like hang a carpet or something, you know.
I thought about hanging a blanket over it, and I was like, I don't know, that's pretty scuffed.
Yeah. It kind of is. It was really nice today, but it didn't go outside. It was really sunny here. I don't know about you guys, but it was really sunny here, but very windy and very cold. Is Ash from Ontario? Ash is from, I don't know. Can I disclose that?
Yeah.
I'll let you say it though.
From Detroit.
So I'm from Victoria. Well, I live in Victoria, BC. Some of you may have noticed I have an accent. Originally, I'm from Australia and from a lovely city called Canberra, which most of you will probably not know is the capital. But it is. It's not Sydney. It's not
Melbourne.
Actually
was about to say, is it not Sydney?
No, it's not.
Did not know that.
It's kind of like how we think
Toronto's the capital.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's Ottawa.
Like Vancouver is the capital of BC when it's actually Victoria.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Ash with his sexy ass Aussie accent. Yes, it is very beautiful.
Whoa. Thank you very much, Archetype. I appreciate the compliment greatly.
Yeah, Chozo, it's definitely confusing. So if you guys don't know, Ash runs a business, Ashkeebs.com. He's actually one of our affiliates as well. And he does a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I think if I'm remembering your history correctly, you got yourself started in the hobby, in the business, I guess, with lubing switches, with your switch lubing service.
I did, yeah. So it was back in, I think I started around June of 2019. So I'd already been in the community for about a year at that point. And then I was doing it as just like a side hobby to help pay for, the hobby while I was working a full-time job. And then one of my friends, who's now my web dev, Brownie, if you're on my Discord, he helped set up a website which was a lot more rudimentary than the one is now, just to be able to filter in orders and get that all taken care of. And then, yeah, after COVID, I lost my full-time job. And I was selling like a couple of things like lube and some springs and films. And my lube was like about a week or two after COVID started and the lockdowns happened. My lube sold out in like 2 days, because I was the only one who was carrying it at the time, and I was like, oh my god.
Now, if I remember correctly, was this in the history of how we do of what was like the hot item? Was it before COVID? Was it the summer before COVID? Maybe you guys can all help me too. That you just could not find Krytox, or was it after COVID? I can't remember.
It's pretty much every summer. So the factory shuts down for a couple of months because the temperatures where the factory is too hot for it to like operate, not safely, but just because of the fact that it's a lot of combining chemicals, a lot of chemistry. It doesn't bind that well in the higher heat, and so they basically just shut down the factory and they go, hope you stocked up. And it happened in 2019, and it did especially happen last year. Like I think I was out of all lube for like a month and a half, and every day I had people, hey, do you have Krytox coming in? I'm like, literally cannot, but as soon as it reopens, I'll make sure to get it in. But that really helped jumpstart everything. And well, now there's absolutely no shortage of
no, not at all.
Krytox. You find it everywhere.
I think we're all in a very good spot now. Icarus, thank you so much for your Prime. Thank you for stopping by. Glub says, is it just me, or does anyone actually enjoy lubing? You know, I'll be honest with you, Glub. There are days I absolutely personally really love it, but then there's days where it feels like the switches don't stop and it just actually feels like a chore. Now, I will say that
if you're on a podcast, you're kind of chilling. It's not that bad.
Yeah, if you're doing it to like, if you're listening to something, or if you have a friend in a call with you, I can definitely see. Usually, that's like the best spot for it, to be honest. But for me, if I ever have to get it done and there's like no one available, yeah, it definitely can stretch on a little bit.
Like texting people like, hey, you got like an hour and a half? Jump in a call?
Bro, I hate it. I can't. It's like doing the dishes for me. Like I have to really feel up to it to want to get it done. And it is a chore for me.
I think because I mean, obviously, I think I've done probably close to maybe over 25,000 at this point. I've really slowed down the last couple of months because the Ashkeebs operations have ramped up, and so I've had less free time. But when I was like doing orders every day, really like having the mega lube station helps because everything is organized. So if I go, oh well, you know, I need to be able to work on something else, I can just lift it up, put it down somewhere else, and then I no longer have to worry about it. It's out of the way, it's all organized. But if I'm wanting to work on it, really I just put on like a YouTube series or a podcast or music, and kind of take it as like time to wind down, and all I have to do is focus on getting the order done, and that way it's a lot easier to get done. There are days where I'm like, well, I'd really rather not work on it, but of course I also need to complete it and get it done for the customer, and there's days where
I can see that with Yeah, like just about every job. I think every job, hobby, there's always days where you're just like, I just want to vegetate right now and do nothing. But it's, yeah, there's days where it's tough. There's days where it's definitely tough. Mr. Mechanic said, I just received my Space Cables lube station from Drop, waiting for my alpacas to arrive tomorrow to have a fun spring break project. Ooh.
Nice. I recommend if you're going with one of the lube stations, get a couple small Tupperware containers that you can put your springs and your switch tops in. And then when you're working on it, you can just start throwing them in, and then you can stack them, pop them over to the side. And if you're bag lubing your springs, then you can just take the Tupperware container, pour it into your bag, and save yourself worrying about any of them spilling around.
Plus, you know what?
I forgot to mention.
Oh, go on, sorry, Reagan.
Go on. I over the weekend created a file for 100 switch lube station, and I know you had been asking about something like that in the past, so just didn't want to.
Yeah, I had, because I've got as you can see, the version 1 mega lube station from Quinton. This was before all of the revisions that I had helped give for what is now the current state of the lube station. And yeah, I've got one of the few 132 switch mega lube stations, so it's literally just the entire sheet.
So big, dude.
It's just it's ridiculous. And
like, how much of your desk does that actually take up?
It's like a desk pad made out of acrylic.
You can kind of see them on the table there. It's like it's about that big.
Wait, you could make a lube station way bigger than 132 switches if you're thinking the whole laser bay. Like, you could do like 300.
Oh, I thought the acrylic sheets were only a certain size, so he basically was just cutting it to the full size of the acrylic sheet.
You have to buy acrylic in 4x8 sheets, or I don't know, what is that, like 1.5 by 3 meters, something like that.
We know feet here too.
Okay, well, for any Europeans in chat. Anyways, so when you place your order for that, you have them cut it down to like the size that'll fit in your laser bay, which is something, I think it's like 32 inches by 20 inches. You could fit, it's like bigger than a desk pad.
Jesus, dude.
I mean, you could have like a Mondo lube.
So you're saying you could send Ashkeebs a 300 switch lube station, is what you're saying?
No, please. I don't think I could.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, you're getting up? We're just spitballing. You're getting up one day, and you're like, all right, and then you accidentally tilt it a little bit, and then 300 switches go everywhere.
When you make a 300 switch lube station, you create like a base. It's basically a table. You make legs for it,
and then you put brass weights, right?
You make sure that that's not tipping over and going anywhere.
You know, sometimes like when you get like a string caught on something and you go to lift your hand up, dude, and everything falls out. Can you imagine, dude? That would be extra painful. I mean, I've done everything else too. So, lubing the house station.
I've had a 110 switch order. And I had all of the components in, like I had the springs in the bottom housing ready to start lubing the stems. And I bumped my table.
Oh no, dude.
Everything just shot up and went all over my table. It was one of those moments where you have to breathe in, breathe out, leave for a few minutes and come back, because you're really not going to be in a good mood.
Dude.
And then I just
that's so painful. But to answer some questions, Reborn said, if I get stuck on a bug in my code, I'll lube while I think about a solution. I mean, that's also a really good point. I know I just read something too about someone like dying in a video game, or like when they lose a game, like they lube 10 switches. That's not a bad way to do it too. It kind of beats that kind of dragging on boringness of it. I spent forever lubing switches today. Used the earlier stream as background noise. Dude, honestly, I do that too. I'll turn on a nice stream or a YouTube video, and then I'll just get to work. I need a CNC, a lube station. I'm CNCing my own keyboard case at the moment too. Visual gamer, that's fucking awesome, dude. A lube station made of metal. Can you imagine? Chose to set 1,000 switch lube station. McPatty Star said Ash is a good person / vendor, and that he and his team get $5 million tips at King Kermit. Oh, I wish we all got.
Thank you, McPatty. McPatty has been a quite a long time customer of mine, and I know exactly who he is. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the kind words.
What a nice guy.
so nice, so nice, and he participates in my server a lot. Big ups to McPatty.
Fred also said, "What desktop are you using, Alex?" I am using one that will be available actually on Space Cables. We don't have a set date yet. Just soon. Just soon. Ashkeebs is awesome. He's a good guy. I have lube in sets of 10 or I go insane. I count them out. I'm really like particular about it, dude. Is Chozo backstabbing Alex? This is an uh-oh moment, and I will back away then. Oh, damn! I want to wish for Ashton. I mean, like, I'm not gonna hold Chozo to it, but all I'm saying is like, Chozo, feel free and do whatever you need, my guy. Get that bread, my dude. I got creams, and not gonna lie, I don't like them that much. And that's totally okay. Honestly, that's totally okay that if you don't like your switches. I know with creams it's kind of particular. How do you lube creams typically, Ash?
I don't use them for myself personally because I find them a little too scratchy. The pom-on-pom is just, it doesn't work for me. The stems, on the other hand, are fantastic, so if I'm lubing them for a customer because they want me to do the creams, I do it pretty much just like I do any other linear. It's 205, 2 swipes up each rail stem, a little circle around the outside of the stem pole in the bottom housing, bag lube the springs with 105 or 106. Sometimes I do 106 for linears because it's a little bit thicker, and then just all 4 sides of the stem and the legs, pop them in, and yeah, you're good to go. You can't really do films with creams because the housings are really tight, and as a lot of people know, they're really tight fitting into a plate. So if you actually film them, you may have even more trouble getting it into the plate. So
on the topic of that too, what are your recommended, like, how can I word this? I don't want to say tips for beginners for lubing, but what tips have you found either to speed up the process, or can you give us like some of your tips to someone who's maybe interested in lubing some of their switches? Right, Alex, thank you so much for the party. Hold on a second, guys. Alex Happy, is that the better fucking Alex, dude? What's going on, my guy? Is that the better Alex? How was your stream? Did it go well? I hope it did. I'm gonna give you a big hug just because you rated. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, what are some of your tips, Mr. Ashkeebs?
I think going into it, a good attitude to have is that it's something that you want to do, and you can find something to have on in the background, because if it becomes something that's tedious, you're not going to enjoy it, and the end result, it may actually affect how well you lube. Like, you want to be able to concentrate, you want to be able to enjoy it. So my tips are, don't have too much stuff around to distract you, because it's better to just start it and finish it all in one sitting. A lot of it is practice, and a lot of it is just knowing like the visual cues for how much is too much lube, how much is too little. I tend to use the stem holder, or as it's called, the switch slider picker, which is one of these.
That's been my favorite so far too, that particular one.
This is amazing because it'll hold the stem super tight, so you could, I mean, if you accidentally bump it on the desk or something, it's not going to come flying out. And it's a really easy way, especially if you have an overhead light. You can use that and spin around the stem, and you can really see how evenly it's coated.
And does he sell those?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Yes, and
I need to grab one.
Mine are all, I don't know if it's going to focus. It probably won't.
Probably.
Nope, it's shit.
I always get super lubey fingers, and it's because I don't have a...
I'm telling you that... Okay, even if you happen to already have one of those like jewel holders from Amazon, just having that tool, that's actually something I keep forgetting to bring up and mention. Having, I don't even know where mine is now. Having those tools where you can grab the stem and you can lube that way is so valuable. Like, it actually does save a lot of time and frustration. And like, for me, I don't know about other people, but I have super shaky hands. So that has been definitely like one of the tools that obviously doesn't cost a whole lot that has helped me so much. Now, I will say those ones from Amazon, like those $5 ones you can pick up, I bought 4 or 5 of them. before I went and bought the TX version of it, and every single one, the spring ends up going flying out the back, and like the claw like attacks you, dude. Like it just comes right out of the front of the pen. It's like a weapon.
Yeah, that happened to me. I was lubing switches actively, and I released it, and it went shot off all the way across the living room. Just the front of it, the claw just shot straight, grabbed the bottom, the whole switch, shot it into my desk. And that was the last time that I ever used one of those, because that nearly just shot itself straight into my hand. Really easy to fix, though.
I think it's just you screw it back on and align the spring, but it's still a pain in the ass. Like once it pops out once, that's it.
Yeah, and then like the difference in cost between the ones you can get from Amazon and the ones that I sell, it's like maybe $1.
Yeah.
Just get one of these ones. They're so much better. Yeah. So much better.
That being said, I bet a lot of you guys already have like tweezers and stuff you might be already used to using. I think the thing is just if you have a tool, so much easier, dude. That way you don't get your hands all looby.
Yeah. I just use my hands. Need to upgrade.
Dude,
you should get one of these.
I'll send one to you. What are you drinking?
Coke.
Nice. Any special Coke?
What Coke?
Do what?
What flavor?
Coke.
Oh, by the way, Chase, someone said that they like your shirt before.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I've worn the shirt on here before, and I think I got comments on it as well. I really like the shirt as well. That is the Demon Slayer
Gorilla style one?
Shirt. Yeah,
wait, out of curiosity, where did you get that?
I got it from some Instagram account that I followed because Manoli shared something on his story.
Oh.
And they have a lot of cool stuff. It's called Dekai Supply.
Interesting.
DEKKAI. Yeah.
Cool.
They have a lot of cool designs and stuff. But yeah, I really like the shirt. It's their album is called Demon Days, and the Slayers instead of the Demons thing.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Gorilla. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Alex's shirt is top tier IMO. This one? The Pikachu one? Thank you, Miss Messy. Off-brand Egg said, just spray lube your films.
Whoa.
Spray lube? Whoa. Spray lube is...
No.
Yeah. The thing with spray lubing...
Isn't it a meme more than it is an actual thing?
So it's an actual thing from... the knowledge that I have of it, it's an app. I know off-brand, but it's just good. It's good conversation. We're just gonna talk about it. It's an actual thing, but I believe that the lube they use is very specific. It's not super lube. It's like an off-brand in Korea. It's not actually endorsed by Super Lube. However, I would still highly suggest one by one hand lubing everything. You're gonna get much more consistent results. Honestly, here's the cool thing about doing this too. You kind of feel like you're part of the project too. Like more than just quickly doing this, slapping together, finishing. You put a lot more effort into something, and you get like this sense of, wow, I did this. Mm-hmm. How do I know if I've overlubed my switches? Ash, do you want to fill us in on that?
Well, I guess it would depend. Is it a linear switch? Is it a tactile switch?
It's a good point.
How does it necessarily feel overlubed? Is it slow to return? Is the tactile bumping affected? Can you feel the spring squishing? Can you hear it squish? There's a lot of different components that make a overlube switch. 205 grade 0 in the community say it's usually the easiest to overlube with because of the fact that it's quite a bit thicker than its other counterparts. And it's, again, something that you kind of learn the visual cues for how much is too much.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And also, some people like adding a bit more lube, some people like adding less. So really, I think the way to figure it out is if you don't like the way it feels, you've either underlubed it, which you can tell because it'll be scratchy. You'll feel a lot more of the plastic on plastic friction. You may hear or feel the spring ping. That's underlubed. Overlubed is it's just going to be really mushy, slow to return. not feel like the original Switch. And in that case, just clean off the components. You can use a dry brush. You don't need an ultrasonic cleaner.
Yeah.
Try a few more, and if you find that 205 grade 0 just isn't working for you, you just can't get the balance right, it's okay to use another lube for linears. Like 205 is my favorite.
Thank you.
I never use 3204 on a linear, and there are even some tactile switches that I use 205 on.
I accidentally did that to a huge batch of Kiwis, and I realized on the very last one it was 205. I told Alex, I think, immediately. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, it's okay, man."
Well, the thing is, like, the thing I want to, and thank you, Miss Messy, for the tier 1. I really appreciate it. Thank you. The thing I really want to, iterate and I guess emphasize is you don't, there's no rule. I think there's a general preference to which lube you use per Switch, but there's no one holding you at gunpoint being like, if you don't use this goddamn lube for this particular Switch, the keyboard's gonna explode. No one's doing that, dude. Nobody's doing that. Yeah. If you feel like you have a type of Switch that you prefer with something, then just do it. I've had people tell me that I think actually, you know what? We'll use this as an example first. Someone sent me a board one time to build, and they warned me ahead of time, hey, if you don't like this, you can re-lube it. I'll pay you for it. But I lubed these Holy Pandas with 205G0. Those were the best Holy Pandas I've ever tried.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
yeah, it really just depends on your technique and how I actually purposefully lubed my Kiwis with 205 grade 0 and put Dusky's gasket films on them, and I love them. I actually think that is the best way to lube Kiwis, in my opinion. That's how I like it. I found it so long as you avoid the legs, it's pretty difficult to cock up a tactile Switch. It's a lot easier with a linear because if you don't lube the legs consistently, as it interacts with the leaf, it can actually, you can feel it scratch. It's way more difficult to get consistently, but tactiles, you can go gung-ho, just avoid the legs and you're pretty much
yeah. And to also speak on that, just to give you guys a quick little example on something as well. So I opened up these switches, and these were actually done by... So this board obviously is not mine. This is a prototype board that was sent to me by Gone Hacking Studio. And just to quickly do a little... You guys can kind of see it behind Ash's head over there. This, I found for me, to my preference, these were actually... Because I opened one up. I was curious to see the lube. I was very curious. But I opened it up, and there were a little bit... There's a little bit more lube than I usually am normal to. And I just quickly, that's my computer making that noise, quickly want to show you what this sounds like. Obviously, there's lots of different things that affect this sound. There's no sound that's going to be very accurate in terms of what's in person versus the microphone.
Oh, it's noise gated.
No, that's just Discord. It's working fine on the stream. So every switch is gonna be so different. It's just different. There's so many different things and variables that go into how you lube your switch. Now because of this one here, and there's actually other switches where I've actually put a little bit too much lube, and I find in certain keyboards where that does mute the sound a little bit, it actually kind of works, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very fun. I think there's an enjoyment of finding what your preference is,
Yeah.
I think plate materials especially, there's the whole idea of sound tests being very they're an interesting talking point because of the fact that it's not just the switch itself, it's the case, the way the case is engineered, the mounting method, the plate, even the PCB, if there's similar to what Lubed has done for the Salvation, how there's flex cuts in the plate, in the PCB, is going to affect how a switch sounds. You could pop a Duroc L7 in there, and then you have a Duroc L7 in, say, in mode 80. They're going to sound way different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you said, you could lube linears a bit more heavily, but if you've got a really flexy board, you've got FR4 or POM, and it'll flex with the press, it might actually work a little better than if it was lubed less. Like, and again, like the whole hobby, it's just all preference.
Yeah.
So find what you like,
Yeah.
and
I think the last thing that I want anyone to do too is like go to someone's YouTube channel and then see what they're using. Like if you were to look at the Salvation, you see that I have 55 gram springs, H1, lubed film. Because like exactly what Ash said, because of the board I've used, it's not going to sound the same as you put it inside another board. Plus, we also have to be very aware too when you're viewing something on YouTube. My microphone picks up different frequencies. Not all mics are created with a flat sound signature that they record with. And let's just say it is. Well, now we have another variable. Let's just take out any sort of compression. If my headset is more bass heavy, I'm probably hearing more of the bassiness, of the keyboard. That's why I told you guys today even too. I urge you guys to try playing it out of a speaker, playing it out of your headphones, playing it out of something else. Like you're going to get 3 different sound signatures because it's very different. A lot of sound signatures that come out of headphones, most consumer headphones are actually V-shaped. So they accentuate brighter and more bassier sounds because that's what's more exciting. A pair of reference headphones follows more of a flat curve, right? But then there's also like tons of other sound signatures that you can get too. So that's kind of where, taking what other people do with a grain of salt. You can use it as a good jumping off point. Maybe you can find something and work towards that sound signature that you heard online, but it's very interesting. Do we think there's a future in machine lubing for better consistency? If they can actually nail machine lubing,
that'd be big.
Yeah.
Oh,
God, dude.
I have pondered that idea for many hours because I mean, obviously, if I could have a machine replace the man hours that it takes, and it takes a lot of man hours to lube certain switch orders, I mean, it would be amazing, and being able to like provide that tech to switch manufacturing facilities, it would be insane. But then the whole thing of, well, preference comes in, and some people may not like the way that the machine lubes the switch, and people say, oh, these are too mushy, or oh, these are too dry. Like it's honestly, for me, like if I'm designing a switch, I just do it dry, no factory lube, just like let the person experiment, and don't hold what you do up to like somebody else's standards. Like I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't know if my switches are going to be lubed as well as if you are doing it. And I'm like, look, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing it or not. If you like it, that's what matters. Like if you enjoy the switch, if you enjoy the process and you enjoy the end result, that's all that really matters. Like whether it's done by a expert or not, at the end of the day, so long as you like it as the person who is going to be consuming it, that's really the most important.
And you really did bring up a good point too, where that's actually a really good point that didn't really cross my mind. What if someone actually prefers it with a bit more lube versus a bit less lube? So then you can have it being machine lube to a certain degree of lubing, but then it comes down to, again, like preference. And it never crossed my mind, to be honest. I was just like, wouldn't that be crazy if we can get, but I'm thinking in my mind, like, to my preference, wouldn't that be sick to my preference? Other people, who are they?
Yeah, that's a really big point that I've had a lot of people discuss with me. It's like, how much should I be able to see on the stem? And I'm like, this is how much I put on. I don't know if you're gonna like that though. Like I can't have you come over to my office and give it a try. So
well, and that's the other thing too. Like I go through I don't know about you guys, and I'd even love to know about what you guys in chat think too. Is I go through phases of like sound profile, feel of the keyboard, everything. I'll go through phases where I like really minimal amounts of lube, but then I'll go through phases where I'm like, oh, I could actually use extra because I want it to be a bit more muted. So I end up going through like 2 months of me liking a certain sound signature this way, and then 2 months of me getting not bored with it, but me going like, ooh, but now my brain's liking this because it's something new, and it fires those receptors in my brain that says cool. But yeah, my preferences change, I'd say, pretty rapidly in terms of like sound and feel, even with like a stiffer typing experience versus a softer typing experience, that too.
I think that's the strength of hot swap boards. A, hot swap boards have just become a lot more reliable recently, and B, there's so many people that are coming into the hobby who haven't tried, who haven't tried. They haven't tried a certain tactile, they haven't tried linears, but they don't necessarily. You don't want to buy like 7 boards to try out a whole bunch of switches or try like different lubing techniques and seeing how it feels in a board. So hot swap boards are awesome for people who are like me. I only have, I think, 3 boards that are 3 boards that I have on me that are non-hot swap, and one of them is unbuilt. One was built by Alex, and the other was built by Clavier.
Side story about the one that we did for Mr. Ashkeebs. When he got it, and he's like, "Alex, the stab isn't working." And I'm like, "Impossible! Like you saw it work on my." And he's like, "You know, I'm not blaming you, but like it's not working." So we're like scratching your head. Turns out,
the
little warpy in the space bar, dude.
You know what's crazy? I had somebody over.
Still need to send you one.
Yeah, well, the thing is I tried it just recently, and
it works.
It kind of works, kind of.
That's weird. That's so strange.
But I don't
Temperature
know where
difference,
my USB. Dude. Maybe. Like but the thing is I don't know where my USB mini cable is. So I can't use the board. I gotta buy another one. Reagan.
Reagan's like, "Hi, I'm Reagan." Someone had a really good comment before, and I totally forgot to read it, but now I'm remembering. Someone's like, "Reagan woke up and shows 2 times zoom on his camera." Fucking, I was like internally laughing.
Wait, did you zoom it for me? Because like I'm looking at it in Discord, and I'm way zoomed out in Discord, and then I look at your stream, and I'm like zoomed in.
Okay, well, I didn't zoom it, but I think you actually might be right. It is cropped in a little bit.
I think,
but it's not. Right. It's not by much.
I think Alex.
Bro, I don't know. It like on my screen right now.
Much.
I have like
that wasn't that
so
much, dude.
Okay, look. I can still see my hand, my top hand on frame on my screen right now.
Oh.
Okay, well, now that you say that, yeah, maybe. Wait,
okay.
No, but look how tall you are to compare to Chase now. Okay, you know what, guys?
I'm just saying, I'm on my normal zoom, okay?
Out of curiosity, what was that keyboard that you had built by Alex, Ash?
That was a Gen 1 canoe, which we had built with Milky Gat Yellows and on MT3 Steadicam, which I also have, and that is a sweet board.
It thocks. Like it's probably because we did add Ash sent me foam, and we nicely placed the foam on the bottom. But it's weird because like usually when you do that, you get like a really boring thock, like not even a thock. You get a really boring like plastic smacking something, but it does leave some resonance in there, so it does have a bit of a sound. But it's the thocky boy. Leave Reagan enhanced. I should just put him back.
No.
Alex, we were talking like a couple weeks ago about how much each of us enjoy MT3.
Yeah.
Like as a profile, it's just such a fun profile to use. It's a really cool one. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really. Reagan hasn't tried it yet. I know it's on his list to try.
Yeah.
And
you have to.
It hugs your fingers like no other keycap set. It really does.
I will
it's
say
really
though,
bizarre.
I'm not trying to shill Zambumon because this isn't really. I don't know if this is like a Zambumon thing. The one set of MT3 which I find is superior, and it's Serica, not because of the colors, maybe a little bit because of the colors, but it's PBT versus ABS. So I actually really like the PBT MT3. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's a sculpted profile. So they really, like Chase said, it hugs your fingertips. I wouldn't necessarily,
especially the F and J keys are like bowls. They are literally like bowls. You could pour cereal into those F and J keys and eat out of them. It's insane.
I've never heard anyone describe it that way.
The only ABS MT3 set that I know of is Susu Watari, and all of the other ones.
Wait.
Maybe the black and white MT3 sets are also ABS. They might
I have 4 sets of MT3, and 3 out of the 4 of them are ABS plastic.
Do you have the black and white MT3?
I don't know. I don't remember which ones I have.
I think those are also ABS, but yeah.
I'll have to look into that afterwards.
Interesting. Maybe I'm gonna go look too. But I will say though, here's the thing about it. While I think it's my favorite profile to type on, and I get the most accurate typing experience out of it, I will say I don't always love the sound of MT3. So
I think they're fun. It's not like my daily use, but I do enjoy switching to them every once in a while.
I don't know. I haven't tried them on tactile switches.
They're okay on tactiles. And by the way, Chozo, I say it right every single time. What are you talking about? I think I do. Do I not? Am I a fake weeboo? These are all ABS. Yeah, besides Serica. Yeah, right. I thought so too, Dunkaroo.
Dev 3 or Dev.
No, I have Dev.
PBT.
No, it's ABS.
It's PBT.
Fuck.
It's PBT.
It is listed on their on Drop's website as DieSub PBT. Yeah.
It started. MT3 started as a PBT.
Dev is PBT. Am I going insane? I have one set of Dev. Ah, okay. Maybe you guys are right. Obviously, you guys are right. I'll go double check that afterwards. Wow.
I'm a big PBT stan. If I see PBT caps, I want.
I will say though, the only thing about PBT anything is those goddamn modifiers. Sometimes they just curve like a banana. Sometimes they're great. I will say though, if you guys ever have the opportunity to try out CRP keycaps, they are
so
beautiful.
So good.
And you know what too? It's more than just like they're good keycaps. They feel and sound so much different. And I will say it's such a good feeling. So if you guys ever have that opportunity, definitely check them out.
CRP? I've never heard of CRP before.
Kimchi, I've gotten so lucky with all my CRP space-bars. They are dead straight, dude. The only other set that has straighter space-bars, the only other set is a $20 anime girls enjoying their food set. Those actually have probably the straightest modifiers I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
I remember you dropping that truth bomb on chat, and nobody was prepared for it.
It's crazy. And you know what's funny is my friend ordered a set too. I'm kidding you not. 2 for 2. 2 for 2. The straightest 2 for 2, dude. The straightest spacebars I've ever seen in my entire life. Crazy. That's it. That's what happened though, Kimchi. My mom's like, "Oh, what are they doing?" They're like enjoying, like what are they doing on the keycaps? And I was like,
they got to sneeze.
They're enjoying their food, and she's like, "Oh, that's good to see." They're all about to sneeze.
Yeah,
that's a good one too.
That
would have been a great one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they all got to sneeze. Yeah, it's no problem. Oh, okay.
Allergies.
Allergies, duh.
God.
Oh man.
You put CRP on your new eye, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't think that set is so pretty on that board. So
so nice.
The Blackpink Japanese one, yeah, that's really pretty on that board. I don't think that has another home. I don't think that's being taken. There's some sets like Nautilus for me belongs on the M60 A Lake. Like that will never be taken off. Honestly, even with Striker on, see the thing is Striker might go well on a bunch of other boards, so I might take it off. But like Striker might live on the Salvation for a long time. How much is CRP usually? They're actually not. It's not like crazy expensive when you buy them retail over like a GMK or EPBT set either. I will say though, the compatibility with CRP is kind of, it's not as good in like a base kit. And I think you really have to kind of like look at what you're getting and just make sure with anything though. This is with literally any cap set. Obviously, just take a look at what you're buying. Don't just hit buy and go, this will work for me. So, GMK Mizu and Iki 68 Aurora Mizu themed. That's another big board. Did you guys hear a lot about the Iki 68? That's a big one coming out.
I mean, I knew about it because I was originally in discussions with WUKE about carrying their stuff here in Canada, but Sir Timmy Timbits, their mod, ended up taking on the responsibility. So since then, I haven't really seen anything in detail, but I've seen you. You built an Iki 68 a little while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really, like, honestly, my thing is, as long as things can be readily available for people who want to get in the hobby but don't necessarily want to drop $200+ on a starter kit, even like a budget kit set. I'm talking even when you think about the tofu, a plate, PCB, and the tofu case ends up being around the $100 and something anyways. Actually, what tofu case is $88? PCB is $40, and then you get yourself a plate. Even if you buy yourself a really cheap one, you still end up like $150, $160 mark. So for $130, I was like, wow, this is really good. And you get so much compatibility with it too in terms of what you can do with it. All hot swap. We meet again, Mr. Alex. Oh, hello, Silent. Sorry, go on, Ash.
Is it not also Bluetooth?
You can buy the Bluetooth one. Yeah, Chase is right. You can buy a Bluetooth one for $150.
Was that the one where you have to include your own battery or something like that, or something?
Oh.
You know what? You know what's crazy about that? It's not even strange. Batteries are so hard to ship.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that has to go into shipping batteries, and I think a lot of people don't know that.
You have Bluetooth as well, actually.
Yes, actually, in Canada, I think if you sell Bluetooth products, it has to have a certain certification within Canada that you have to get. That's if it's sold within Canada, I believe.
Yeah, so I was actually just looking into this recently. So if you're selling Bluetooth, either if it's exporting or importing into Canada, and the same goes for the States, you need to be able to get a certification that is registered with like a particular like a certified company that is able to give you that certification. So it's just back and back and back and back. But certain companies can actually get you like international certification. So for both the US and Canada. So if a designer wants to do a Bluetooth board, but they don't want to have to pay for like 16 different certs, if they go through a particular company, they can actually get the certification for the entirety of North America, and it just makes their lives 10 times easier.
Yeah. So yeah, Mechland will sell batteries too. Yeah, I wonder how much those will end up being. I can't imagine much though. I can't imagine them being that much.
So I saw Doma Legato said Mechland was able to ship it within Canada. They can ship it within Canada because they WUK already got the certification to import it into the country, and then there's no problem once it's already in, because the whole thing is they're like radio devices, so you need to be able to prove and certify that it's not going to interrupt local area networks. That's like the whole thing, is they don't want spyware coming into the country and just, having like basically like an EMP.
Or just faulty product, that's going to ruin a bunch of other stuff.
Keyboard, EMP.
Here's an interesting question from Rumor. Do you think going for an entry keyboard is worth it? Why wouldn't you go for a high-end one, since you'll be getting it later anyways? So my opinion of this, and I would love to hear everyone's opinion on this, is no one's actually stopping you from getting a high-end. A lot of people end up going for entry level because of budget. Finances could be difficult. Some people don't even know if they like keyboards, so they want to just get their feet wet, right? But there's nothing actually, like, I don't ever want anyone to feel like anyone's being gatekeepy, in which I'm saying, like, well, while I think personally it's always good to buy like a hot swap board and try things out first, because you never know your preferences, I'm also not going to be one to like put my arm out and be like, no, you can't go buy a Key Cult and get these switches that you saw online. Like, no one's telling you that you can't do that. But there's no reason why you'd want to do either or. It's all up to your personal, I guess, decision making there, right? What do you guys think?
Well, I was gonna say, if I had, like, if starting out from nothing, if I had, like, I don't know, random number, like $600 to spend, and if I could, like, go back and, like, give myself advice on what to do, I'd probably start out with buying some type of kit board, and then, like, 4 or 5 different kinds of switches, and then a couple different keycap sets. Like, I would do everything I can to kind of get an idea for what I personally like in a key, because, like, the case is a big part, but, like, it's not necessarily like the biggest part of your build. I mean, it's usually the most expensive part of your build, unless you're dropping $500 on a certain keycap set. But I don't know, switches tend to be like the thing that people hang on to the most when it comes to like when they start building multiple keyboards. I know a lot of people that'll have like a favorite switch that they'll put in multiple keyboards. So I think it's like best to like branch out and try a bunch of switches pretty early on if you can. Just because there's so many different feels with switches out there. And switches are fairly inexpensive in the grand scheme of things.
Rusty said keyboards are the most expensive part. Laughs in artisans. I know, dude. I know, dude. Yeah, like exactly what Chase, like that's Chase's experience too, because I know Chase likes budget stuff, like a lot.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like if you did want to pick up, because I know even for example, you can get I have a Keycult PCB that's hot swap. So again, if you want to go for the nicer, higher end, what you deem luxury case, then go for it. And if you want to get something smaller, go for it.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us, when we first got into the community, we all started like we didn't even have the entry-level options to the same extent that there are available now.
No,
we had a ducky.
Tofus.
I had a plastic case Tofu 65 with stock Gatoron Silent Reds, and bought a metal case for it, and then got a the Niz Plum 87.
Yes.
Got a Leopold, the FC 660M. And then stuff slowly started to scale up from there, and then down the rabbit hole I went. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with wanting an entry-level board, and I don't really think that anybody is going to be pointing a finger at you and going, oh, you're not buying a Keycult, you're not buying an iron, oh, what are you doing in the community? Like, that kind of gatekeeping attitude, if there are people that do that, I would say they're probably in the minority, and I would also just generally ignore them. You're not in the community to have other people dictate what your preferences are. You're in the community to enjoy something that it's a hobby. Like, you're here to enjoy it. If somebody else can dictate what you're allowed to enjoy, I mean, it's like you're going to push people out of the hobby. Don't do that. Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. And if they want to go from, let's say, an NK65 and they go, wow, I'd really like to get a, like, let's say Zembumon Sar, which is probably going to be quite a pricey board considering the size of it and all the engineering and everything. If that's what they want, then say shoot for the moon. Just don't buy it if you can't afford to pay rent or...
Well, I have a big question, and let's talk about it without getting obviously too much into... Well, I don't mean to get into detail, but like let's just talk about it respectively. Have you guys experienced gatekeeping in the hobby? Both you guys in the call right now and chat. Have you guys like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like obviously, to an extent, yes, says Miss Messy.
I haven't personally.
I see it, but I haven't experienced it myself. I've been pretty fortunate. I've seen it plenty of times.
I did at the beginning.
Yeah.
So you've seen it though, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in Discords. I've seen it in other Twitch chats. I see it on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, it exists for sure.
Yeah, I know for me, my experience with it was when I first started, I asked a question and got laughed at, and that's where I was like, oh, that's not fun. But I have seen it. Go on, sorry.
I was gonna say I left out Reddit out of that list, and somebody said r/.
That's where my thing was.
I left it out, and I don't know why I left it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Reddit's the worst one, dude. But I will say, like, that was my experience with it, and then I remember months later, I saw someone asked like a simple question in Discord, and then everybody started pointing them to like Google and like like that stupid thing you can do with where Google's the question for you. It does the animation.
Google that for you.
Yeah. And then people are like, just don't ask here, just Google it. And just like it comes back to that thing that I always say, where it's like some people just want to have conversation, even if it means asking a simple question. Some people just want human contact and want to ask a question. It doesn't always have to be pointed towards Google. Like, I don't get why that's always a thing. That's why I tell you guys, like when people come in here and they're like, can I ask a question? I know you probably get asked this a million times. Bro, ask me another million times. I don't care. I will talk to you. As long as I,
that's why I love Chozo, man. Like, someone can come into our Discord and ask, why is the sky blue? And Chozo will be like, well, actually, scientifically, he breaks everything down, and it's like always in great detail. And yeah, so shout out to Chozo.
Yeah, I mean, Chozo's right too. There is an extent, like if a person's obviously being stupid about something, where they're, you know, trolling or asking the same question every day. Yeah, there's an extent where it's like, okay, I can't really answer this 1,000 times to the same individual. But I don't know. It's different. I don't know. I was actually pretty scared to ask questions when I first started out. Basically, just watch a bunch of videos. I think there is too. It's like, especially with like more small hobbies, you tend to be afraid to interact with community sometimes. But I'm hoping that everyone found or is finding some, you know, corner of the hobby, a hobby within the, you know, a niche within the hobby that they feel comfortable talking to people with. Grizzly says, back when I was new, I got shamed for asking some of the answers to the questions I got to get into Geek Hack. Well, that's the thing too. Like, I don't really truthfully expect people to understand Geek Hack. I didn't understand Geek Hack. I still
can't effectively navigate Geek Hack, if I'm being honest. I click on links to Geek Hack. I never go straight to Geek Hack to look for things.
Here's the thing too with Geek Hack. My one thing, which, and I'm actually afraid to ask people this, but I will tell you guys why I'm afraid to ask. I don't understand how people sort through Geek Hack. There's posts from like 14 years ago that get bumped. And then it's like so hard to navigate things. I'm like, ooh, I've never heard of this key before. And then I see like the date and it's like 2006. I'm like, what the hell is
tell
this?
Me also, why with Geek Hack, you could search like GMK minimal and then it'll be like no results found. Like, why am I feel like anytime I search something on Geek Hack, it's like, am I just missing a checkbox or like a refined search option or something?
No, it's those old forums, man.
PHP forums. I used to do all that stuff and I was like, yeah.
I used to forums,
but like, I don't understand. I'm like, it's the title of the damn thread. It's like you could type in any keycap set. You could type in like Nautilus, and it's like no results. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Every time we have like a conversation about like something we're waiting to like kind of change within the scene, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Geek Hack needs to like evolve to the next state of the internet because it's so like that's just like one thing that is like stuck in the past that we just kind of ignore and let it exist as is, but it is very much just stuck in the past.
I just wish there was a viable solution. But you know what I would say, Chase? If they introduced a way to sort by date of the post, the initial post, like just some sort of toggle, I think that would make things so much easier on Geek Hack. One thing. Obviously, it's not fixing a million other, like Reagan said, the fucking search is broken. But I think that would fix so many things. The problem is too many people that too many people don't want to change anything about Geek Hack.
Yeah. I get it.
Gatekeepers.
No, I mean, I understand if people like to hold on to that. Like, if people like the way it functions and stuff like that. It's just like, I kind of wish there was an alternative for people who haven't been there for like Geek Hack, like, you know, who haven't used Geek Hack for years. Like, an alternative would be nicer rather than just like a complete overhaul, I guess.
I even think, you know, to the extreme, and a complete overhaul is needed. Those forums, like those PHP forums, are so limited. And if you remember, like, I don't know, do I have any like old school World of Warcraft players in the chat? Do you guys remember when your guild used to make you go on those terrible ass forums, and then there'd be just threads of nonsense? Do you guys remember those? Oh god, those are terrible.
Or you get you want to have like the highest post count in the forum, so in off topic you make like a post count thread and you just start posting random shit for hours with like the same two people, because you're not allowed to just keep posting on your own. So you just coordinate it with some other bloke, and then you guys shoot up 1,000 posts.
Yeah, and like then you look more like reputable because you have 1,000 posts. Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Reborn says, so what was everyone's point of entry into the hobby? For me, it was my boss 2.5 years ago rocking a hand-wired split ortho with Zelios.
Ooh.
What about you, Ashkeebs? What was your first entry point into the hobby?
Razor Black Widow. Was the very
fair.
first.
What about you,
It's
Chase?
fair, yeah.
I was using like different Corsair boards for many years,
Mm-hmm.
but then, I mean, definitely just seeing people like streamers and stuff start using like duckies and whatnot a few years back. Just like the 60% keyboard in general, just really caught my attention. Like the ability to change something on my desk that I thought was so. I don't know. Like I thought there was one way to do it. I thought like I had a couple of options, and then as soon as I realized like, oh, there's these other manufacturers. There aren't that aren't Corsair, that aren't Razer, that aren't Logitech. I kind of want to check out what they have to offer, and from there it was, I mean, really interacting with Reagan is kind of what led me deeper and deeper into the hobby for sure.
What about you, Reagan? What was your first?
I feel like this gets mentioned enough times, but a ducky. I started with a ducky, and I started like.
And he has not stopped with the duck. He's still using that ducky, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't have it in here, but it's. I don't know where it is. I don't know. Yeah, I entered into the scene on a ducky with MX Browns, shout out Glarses, and drop.com, and like checking out the sets that were on there. That's kind of what segued me into the community in June 2019.
Was it already drop or was it still mass drop?
No, it was mass drop. It was mass drop. Yeah. There's no way it was drop when he started it. That's more recent. Some people said I used a yeah, that's how you tell. First entry point was a Keychron K4. Ooh, then I searched mechanical keyboards on YouTube and stayed up till 3 a.m. Bro, I've been there. For me, it was watching Random Frank P's keyboard video. Oh, really fresh? That's really cool. Fred, rather. He did content for customs, I feel like, pretty early on in the YouTube sphere too, for being one of the bigger tech YouTubers. Corsair K70 says T-Ran. Chozo says GMMK Compact. That's cool. And Pro 2. Yeah. For me, it was... I have it actually disassembled because I'm trying to rebuild it and take it apart so I can give to one of you guys. But it was the Gons GK87 Pro. It's a TKL with lots of RGB.
Yeah, good old Gons.
That was an interesting little board. Then I got really into the tofu. I just liked RGB, okay? And then I got into tofus. So that was pretty cool. Pokers were really... I remember like 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, more than 2 or 3 years ago. If you wanted to get a poker... Bro, you were on a wait list, all right? That wait list was long. Like, that was hard, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know how many videos on YouTube there were of, like, Ducky 1-2 Mini versus and Pro 2 versus
Poker?
Was it Vortex or something?
It was Vortex Poker 3s, I think, or the Poker with the 3 in me. Yeah, dude. Well, and you know what's funny, too, is, like, if you go back now and look at those, like, Poker versus and Pro 2 versus... It's just, like, you hear... non-modded things, and it's very easy for us to go, oh, gross.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear like how much you've trained your ear to listen for different things now, right? Like back then you're like, ooh, that sounds good, and now you listen to it, you're like, oh, I hear a little bit of rattle there. That like you before that was just part of the sound, and that was part of the experience for you. But now it's like, I know how to fix it. Right. I know how to get rid of that.
Dude, I typed on the ducky like the other day with, I think it was like Reds. Oh my gosh, the space bar was like
like loose change in a bottle, right?
It sounded like you just pulled up in the silverware drawer too quick. It's just like so much sound, sound.
But you know what's funny too about that Reborn? You make such an interesting point. Ignorance is bliss. Everyone's board was perfect back then. It's kind of like growing up, you know? Like you don't realize how bad the world is sometimes, or like you don't see the negatives of things. Yeah,
you're right.
Until you get older, dude, and more experienced.
And then everything sucks.
Yeah, then everything's terrible. Everything's a drag, dude.
Then every single spacebar stab pings.
Yeah, it's awful. Once you know what you like, your preference, what does motivate you to build a new Keeb? That's a great question, Rumor. So what motivates me, in particular, So visual things motivate me the most. Sound and feel, while I think they're the most important thing for me, what motivates me to start something new is the process and visually looking at a keyboard. I like the way things look. And the follow-through motivation for me for that is I like the process of things. And I like building. I like seeing what the end result is. I like the process to get to the end result more than I like the end result. And I think that's the motivation for me of why I can like sit here and enjoy every single build that I do, with the exception of like mishaps, obviously, and even those like they're learning experiences. But that's for me the motivation. What about you guys? What about you guys in chat? Oh well, the Noah. We're not gonna talk about the Noah chat.
I'm admittedly the exact opposite, Alex. I am very much a like final picture, like it's finally like it's done. That is like that's all I look for in it, and like the journey to get there, for me, that's just like part of it's like at the end, it's like, oh, that's nice, I put some extra work into this, but doing all the like getting everything done to get there, I don't care. Like, no, thank you.
So you're the end
I'm
result.
the kind of guy like I'll see a keycap set and be like, ooh, I really want to build a keyboard around this, and I just want the end result. Yeah, that's really what it is for me. Or like I'll have switches that I like. I'm like, I really just want to get everything done so I can feel what these feel like on a keyboard. I'm very aware of that. That is just how I am with the whole thing. But.
Huh. I mean, like, I think that's also very valid. Like, I think there's so many stories for everybody, right? Like, everybody has like the way they operate. Some people want one keyboard and they want the one keyboard and that's it. Some people want 4. Some people want 20, 60 plus in some cases, but what motivates you, Ash, to continue building and doing your stuff in keyboards? Besides obviously putting food on your table, because that aside, like the hobby itself.
Well, I can't solder, so the actual process of building the board, I just like being able to get the parts, and to, like in the case of the canoe, getting to watch Alex build it is part of the experience for me, and it's a positive because especially with the canoe, and now the Timo that I just recently got, their PCBs are notoriously finicky. So as somebody who has soldered one hot swap pad, I didn't want my first attempt to be on a canoe or a Timo. So getting to watch somebody who knows what they're doing do it and hear it all come together is like it's a wholesome experience. All of that waiting and everything, like all the components coming together in one beautiful shape is what
the experience.
That's my experience for the building. In terms of the why I do what I do as a vendor, I think something that I always wanted to do when I got into the community, and especially when I started lubing, is I wanted to be able to be somebody that people could come to for advice on how to lube and be able to help give back to the community. And then as my role of being like more of a mainstay vendor has increased, it's okay, well, what is the community looking for? What is what can I give to them and make their shopping experience the most convenient? Who are some people that I can work with that have kind of the similar vibe? Like they enjoy being in the community. They realize that what we get to do as content creators and business owners is really kind of a blessing. And being able to work with those people and getting to hear how much customers enjoy what we're able to provide, that's a huge thing for me. Like, especially with the Switch living, when I was doing it a lot more, was hearing people get the Switches and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know Switches could sound and feel like this. Like, every time I heard that, it was just like, you get the fuzzies. Like, it's why I continue to do what I do. If I didn't enjoy being a vendor, I wouldn't be one, because it's not easy. It's a very, very strenuous job and long hours. But it's fun to be able to work on design projects. It's fun to be able to pour my heart and soul into a business that I truly believe in. It's amazing that I get to chat with all these amazing and talented people day in and day out. Like it's really not something I expected to land myself in, but it's certainly not something that I take for granted, and that's why I work as hard as I can to be able to give as much as I can to the community.
Which is cool. Like that's more than a blessing, my dude. That's huge. And we thank you. We love you, Ash. We love you.
Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without the community, so I want to say thank you to the people that have supported me.
With the exception of maybe Chase, because he dabbles in this more of like a consumer a lot of the time, right, Chase?
Yep.
I don't think the rest of us would be here if it wasn't for you guys. I mean, mind you, the majority up until the last like month or two for me has been mostly dabbling as a consumer as well. But thank you guys. We all appreciate you. Every single one of you guys, even the people who listen on podcasts and stuff too. Thank you guys. As a fellow Canadian, Ashkeebs is an awesome resource. Just placed my order for IFK monochrome. Ooh.
And thank you very much.
Chase, did we get Reagan's answer on what motivates him?
We have not.
What motivates me?
I was really expecting him to say it's lit.
What motivates you? What motivates you to like build your next keyboard? I guess like what's your motivation to keep building keyboards and having fun with, just as a hobbyist, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, I guess as a consumer or hobbyist, more so answering that. And actually, this has changed as of recently. I actually have I feel like a different set of intentions or eyes when I'm building a keyboard. I've been getting more into like the design aspect over the last 12 months or so. And so I really find it interesting to kind of dissect keyboards and see what things were implemented and how certain designers were able to get two pieces to connect together and what this piece of material did sound-wise versus this one. And I'm really observing stuff like that as of the last 12 months versus previously, where it's just like, I feel like you get a puzzle mapping or just building something and you're like, okay, it's done. Whereas now I'm like, wow, so this chamfer here was done and it's like a 2mm extrusion, and then there's got inlay here, and it's all
so you just have a lot more appreciation for the build process of keyboards now.
Absolutely.
That's
and as someone who's like been kind of messing around in Fusion for a little while now and Illustrator and stuff, to like really see details that are put into boards, like I don't know, it's funny though, because like I can look at any board now and see, like I'm like, oh, okay, here's what they did. Like I know how that was kind of implemented, and that's becoming pretty cool to me, I guess.
That's a great answer, dude. Honestly, I think one thing too that I totally forgot to mention, which I know me and Reagan, I don't want to speak for Ashkeebs or Chase. I can probably speak for Chase, but I don't want to speak for Ashkeebs. I'll let him answer this too. Is one thing that me and Reagan spoke about. So if you guys have heard kind of like how me and Reagan got to know each other, he's literally the oldest friend I have in the keyboard hobby. Like
he answered an ad.
Yeah, we basically we held hands together on day one, dude. We're like, don't let go. I looked at him. He's like, all right. I was like, okay, let's not let go. So basically, I was his fourth customer, and I had just like picked up my first keyboard, and I took a photo of it on Instagram, and the photo got like some traction. And I was like getting hyped. I'm like, oh cool, like I got like 200, 300 followers. This is awesome. And then more people just really want to like see keyboard stuff. And I get a message from Reagan. He's like, do you want a cable? And this is back when like there was like 3 people making cables that I knew of, and they were all sold out. So I was like, hell yeah, I want a cable. And we played games together. We were playing like Fortnite, I think. I know a meme on us if you want, guys. We played Fortnite.
It was 2019. It was May 2019.
That's when Fortnite was at its peak, my dudes. And we were hanging out, and I remember one thing led to another. We ended up like Reagan was really getting into space cables at the time. I was getting more into like I'm really enjoying taking photos of things, and we were cranking 90s. Can you imagine, dude? We actually didn't crank 90s. We barely cranked 45s, and Chase is dying over there. If you guys don't know, Chase, can you tell us what you do, just really quick, middle of the story?
I work with people who play video games.
He would never work with us because me and Reagan suck.
That's what we mean.
I've worked with a lot of guys who play Fortnite.
Yeah. So he would never not sign us, but he would never work for us because our content would be garbage, dude. And me and Reagan were hanging out and we were talking about it. And the one thing we said to each other was, throughout all of this stuff, throughout whatever this takes us, like the one thing we both said was, let's just make this a really positive experience for everybody. Like that's what really mattered to us. And we bring it up, I feel like maybe not as much as we should now to each other, but it's still in our minds, obviously. Like that's one thing I can say that we both truly live by. Obviously I know Chase is on board. I definitely can think Ash is probably on board with that too, but the one thing we said to each other since like day one was like, let's just make this a fun experience for everybody that gets involved with this. So I mean, like, I hope you guys are all having a fun experience with keyboards. I hope there hasn't been too much resistance and stuff like that.
Well, I wanted to say this earlier when we were talking about like, have we experienced gatekeeping? I want to say like that is a very small minority of the community for sure. They're that vocal
Super
minority
small,
that
yeah.
you hear a lot from, sadly, every once in a while. But I think if you put yourself in the right places, you end up finding a lot of really good people in this community. I don't know. I think there's a lot more positive than there is negative.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, and I think you as a creator and the two of you as vendors experience a lot more negative than I ever do as just a consumer. So I'm sure your meters of like the negative sides of the community are a little higher than mine.
I'd say Alex probably, as a content creator and a platform, might receive.
Dude, I get some dumb.
Not that you
I get
much
dumb
at all.
shit
I
sometimes.
that, like,
Do you guys
people
wanna-
don't.
The one thing that stuck with me that was the dumbest compliment dumbest,
dumbest compliment I've
criticism
ever
or whatever you want to call it. The dumbest thing I ever heard was, you should spend less money on keyboards and more money on fixing your teeth. Dude, that had to be like the weirdest thing I've ever had to experience doing anything.
Yeah, but didn't you message that guy's mom?
Dude,
Yeah, wasn't it like?
do you guys want to hear the? Do you guys want to hear the full story about that again? Do you guys in chat want to even hear that?
Just tell him.
Just tell them?
Yeah.
Just tell them the story.
So-
because I'm sure they haven't.
This was like way before I even started streaming, dude. And this kid, it was a little kid, messaged me saying like, "Hey man, you should spend less money on keyboards and more money on fixing your teeth." So I was like pretty pressed about this. I was like,
Pretty stressed.
I was like, dude, what the hell? That's rude as
Alex
fuck,
is
dude.
huffing and puffing over there.
Yeah, that was that's fucking offside.
It was so weird. So, just out of curiosity, when someone, I don't do this anymore, FYI. Because now it happens so often that I don't have fucking time for it, all right?
This was a long time ago. This was a very long time ago.
Yeah,
This was
was
like
2019.
October 2019.
Yeah, and I click on his profile. I'm pressed, I click on his profile, and it's like a 14-year-old kid. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, whatever. This comment means nothing. Then I don't know why you would do this, by the way. In his profile, it said, "I love you, Mom," and tagged his mom. So I went and I was like, no, dude, like this kid seriously, telling someone who maybe doesn't have as much of thick skin as me could seriously hurt someone, right? Like, if you're having a bad day, like realistically, not memeing around, if you're having a bad day, like that could actually hurt someone. That could lead someone to do something potentially harmful. So I was like, not saying that I'm someone, but like my account had no followers at the time. Like, it didn't matter. I think I had like 800 followers, 500 of which was like me gaining traction. 400 were friends and family over the last like 5 years of me having Instagram. So I ended up messaging the kid's mom, took a screenshot of it, and I was like, hey, just like want to let you know that while I'm not, particularly hurt about this is not making me do anything silly, this could potentially harm someone else in the future. Like, I just want to let you know that your son's doing that. As I'm writing this, he also put like a bunch of clown emojis on my comment saying that's not very nice. And now I'm more pressed. And then he then I got an apology on the comment saying like, hey, sorry about that comment. Then he blocked me, and then the mom blocked me. So I'm guessing.
Should
I'm
have
guessing.
just,
Yeah.
asked his mom out. That would have been the ultimate move.
No. But yeah, I don't know. Like, just I didn't get it. Like,
Respectfully to a nice restaurant.
but you know what's crazy to me is like, now that I think about that, is what even drives you to do that? As even a as a teenager, I never. You know, like, obviously when you're on Call of Duty and stuff, you'd use shit talk with your friends. Like, that was like the thing back then. But
yeah, there's no way for us to give an answer. But I mean, it's just gotta. He's wanting some type of attention. Feels like he can get it in the form of putting somebody down who's got eyes on them, and he feels like he can point something out, and maybe some people will rally behind him. I don't know what he's hoping for there. Like, it's just a weird. Yeah, I mean, and then again, you find out it's a young kid, 14-year-old kid. It's like, obviously that's somebody who just hasn't figured out what life is about.
Yeah,
they haven't figured out how to interact with people, or how to make themselves happy, or and how to exist in the world with other people other than themselves. That there are other people out there other than just them. So there's a lot of factors there.
I think you're right. There's a lot of factors that go into making that sort of a comment. Usually it's so much easier to talk shit behind a keyboard, and you wouldn't do it. Some people wouldn't do the same thing in person, because it's like, well, what if the person that you just said that to is just having a really shitty day, and that's the thing that tipped them over the iceberg. And usually it's a whole
and you know what's crazy too about that, Ash? And this goes beyond keyboards. And this is something that I wish I did more things about when I saw. Like, this is an actual regret in a way. Is when I go to, even these days, I'll go to someone's stream, I'm just hanging out, want to check out new streamers. Girls who stream, dude, get it so bad. Like, I know for us as guys, this is not me trying to, put pressure on anyone to be a knight in shining armor type thing. Be a human being. It's so shitty, dude. I remember I went in, I was just enjoying some person playing fucking Genshin Impact. Literally, guy comes in, hey, you're fucking ugly. What does that even mean? What are you trying to, impress her? And it's just for me, I know sometimes you guys, sometimes we, and that's the thing, I think you guys know it's okay with me when you guys call me, I got a dumpy, you guys call me cute and shit. But, even with girls, that stuff is, and I've told you guys in the past too, with that thing, with that stuff, when you guys come to me and do it, fine. It's not hurting my feelings at all. But when you guys go to girls and do it, or just anybody else who doesn't say that's okay, just stop. What is it, dumpy? It's my butt.
That's booty.
It's such a weird thing, because I just don't get it. Every stream, I'm not even kidding you, every stream, if the streamer is a girl, there's just at least one time in the course of even 20 minutes, 30 minutes, there's just dumb shit that gets posted in chat. And I think maybe that happens to me on average once a month. To happen once every 20, 30 minutes, I don't understand how you girls do it, dude. I don't get it. I don't understand how you guys have the patience for that, to be honest. I feel like we're about 5 years away from Netflix documentary about the ramifications of being a girl streamer. Yeah, to be honest.
Probably.
Yeah. I think people don't think twice before they act or write something. No, they definitely don't. Some dudes can't get positive attention from a girl, so that's facts. The honest truth. That's facts, dude.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, that's a truth bomb right there. I think like with people making negative comments and people making any sort of inappropriate comment towards a streamer, especially female streamers, you're not getting the type of attention that you want from that certain person. You're not getting the reaction that you want. So you think, okay, well, if I call a streamer ugly, then I'll get some attention, and people will be like, haha, yeah, and totally agree with me, and not ban me off of the stream for being a dick. Don't go into somebody else's stream, which is it's their business. It's imagine somebody coming into your place of work and saying, you are like, doesn't matter what their job is. You're just like, yeah, you're fucking ugly. Like, you shouldn't be doing this as a job. It's like, how do like?
You're ugly. You shouldn't be doing this as a job.
Yeah, like imagine hearing that, and you're just out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, I didn't ask for your opinion, but.
And that's the big thing too, and like I want to bring it back, and this is kind of where now I want to bring it back is in the keyboard world. I think we do have it. It's a little easier in the makers and crafting category, but the moment you want to branch out to like just chatting or anything else, it's like a different ball game, dude. I remember I went to just chatting like one time 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, or maybe a little longer ago, two months ago or something, and it was just like the weirdest people come into just chatting to try to get some rise out of you. It's just so weird. And that's the thing too with keyboards. It's like something as simple as we're just engaging people who are, you know, hopefully like-minded or want to see, and it's a keyboard, for Christ's sake. We're building keyboards. We're soldering things together. It's more technical than anything else, but yeah, I remember that Reborn. Yura had to do that on Valentine's. Was it Valentine's Day? Yeah, it was really weird.
Going back to the original comment about receiving toxicity, as a vendor, I actually receive very little. My customers are really nice, and if something happens, like, you know, if there's just happens to be a problem with the order, and I go, oh yeah, no, I'll get the replacement out right away. They're so happy that it's just getting taken care of, and people are really nice when they open tickets or if they have questions. Like, there are people who, like, I do occasionally have to deal with toxic people, like some, you know, I mean, people know how Port turned out. I'll just put that one out on the table. It didn't turn out how I had planned, which is unfortunate, but part of the responsibility I hold myself. But I had somebody who came into my server who basically was just saying your set is shit. Your set turned out like shit. Nobody's going to support you in the community anymore. I'm going to tell all my friends that you're a shitty designer. He decided to post, he demanded a refund, not knowing that I was also the designer and a vendor. So he's just like, well, you designed the set, you should give me a refund because your set's shit. And I was like, okay, like, no designer is ever going to do that. But I said, as a vendor, I'll refund you because you're clearly extremely heated.
To go back one step too, it's not the vendors won't, or the designers won't. It's they can't. It's up to the vendor all the time, right?
Yeah. And then not only this, so he posts a fake of my set, which came out like a week after the group buy ended. He was a customer of Zed Frontiers. He wasn't even my customer, and he came into my server to say all of this about my set, try and completely ruin my day. And like, I put hundreds of hours, well, probably at least 100 hours into designing everything with Port, and it's a lot of effort. So obviously I'm the one who wants it to be as close to what I envisioned it the most out of everybody else. So I stood there, I took the beating, and I was like, look, I'll give you the refund because you're clearly really upset about it, and then I never want to hear from you again. And then I said, PM me and we'll talk about it. So he PMs me and basically goes along on a bit of a tirade about saying, well, are you, like, you're going to refund me, right? You're the producer. And I'm like, no, I'm the designer. Designers never have to, like, this is not a designer's responsibility, and vendors don't do it either. It's not common practice.
Frontier, but you refunded him?
So I offered to, because I thought he was my customer because he came into my server and was complaining about it. So I was like, okay, as a vendor, he's probably ordered it from me and he's upset. So I was like, sure, whatever, man, just because you're really getting a little toxic. So then, and he was saying I don't take accountability or responsibility for how it turned out and all this and that.
Not the one who makes plastic ratios and colored pigment.
Yeah, like I had no part of that. And then, so then he says, oh, well, I bought it from Zed Frontier. So I'm like, you're not even a customer of mine. Like, I said, you know what? Talk to Alex who runs Zed Frontier. If he'll give you the refund, I will pay for it.
Not me, by the way.
And then
I'm not Alex that runs Zed Frontier.
And he's not the one here. No.
Just making it clear.
So then And then he said, okay. And then I said, so I don't ever want to hear you come into my server and say that again. You had no right to put me on blast like that. You know, you can't say I don't take accountability for these things. You're not even my customer. I don't want you to treat the Z Frontier stuff the same way that you spoke to me. I said, you're lucky that I have, you know, like I've dealt with, you know, I used to get bullied quite a lot. So like I have pretty thick skin. So it's like, this is going to blow over in about an hour and I'll never have to worry about it again. And like, I didn't do this in public. I did it in PM and basically just said, look, you can't be talking to people like that. That's just inappropriate. Posting fakes, like that's just disrespectful. And I was like, and also like, you have no authority to say that I'm not going to succeed in this business. That's not your call. Like, if you don't like it, move on. It's one keycap set. Like, yeah. And obviously I learned a lot from how Port turned out. So to answer McPatty's question, yes, I am designing another set.
Ooh.
Yes, it is going to be getting prototyped. I've submitted everything for it now. So what happened with Port will not happen with my next set. I can tell you that much, because yeah, that was quite a lot to deal with. The Australians were really happy because it actually turned out closer to what a port wine jelly slice looks like. And a lot of other people were happy too, but then there were certainly some people who really wanted to tell me how they feel. And
but that's dude, I'll be honest with you, man, like, to cut you off a little, even with when I did mine, like there's gonna be so many people that have like the opposite opinion or taste of something, and then want to like let you know how bad they dislike it because it didn't fit like in their criteria of what's good for them. So
yeah, I haven't personally seen render versus real life of how the set turned out, but like I can't imagine it was like tremendously differing.
Not tremendously, but it wasn't you know, it was off from the renders. And
but that being said, though, viewing renders and then making a purchasing decision based on renders is so like I think that everyone really needs to understand that you're converting a digital picture to tangible mixture of plastic, and it's not gonna be.
Dude, I want to just interject a little too, Reagan. We had this discussion on our weekly keyboard interest check thing, and it's like, even though there's literally things that say underneath, and I understand from here's the thing, I'm gonna pause the music because this is super important too, and I want to touch base on something else too. It's super important to understand from a consumer side of things, and I'm not talking like someone who's gonna read the TOS or someone who reads the description. I'm talking like your average fucking consumer who just wants to buy something, sees something cool, buys, expects the product they see in the render. That's why like it's super tough for, I feel like, I'm just gonna use our community because I don't know about the other communities who do things like this. There's now like tons of people who are just average consumers who see something, they skip whatever's oh, Reagan put like this may not match the renders in big bold letters. Fuck it, I'm not gonna read it. Bye. It comes in 6 months, X amount of months, and it doesn't look exactly like what the renders did. And like they don't like there's not really that level of understanding that pictures look different on different monitors, like the way lighting temperature affects keycap sets. There's like a general audience, like a bigger audience that doesn't, not that they doesn't understand that per se, but like it's, I don't know the right word to say right now, but there's like expectation of, I just want what's on my screen, and that's what they want.
Also, you guys as consumers, like for people who don't have, and just for some context, for people who do not have every color of stock GMK cap in their hand, which as vendors, we all have them. We have every color GMK makes. We have Pantone books. We have raw decks. We have every color available physically. And when designers, at least within my own experience, there are so many times where designers will send me like colors and stuff, and I have a color calibrated monitor with a certificate that comes with it, right? And whether I'm doing photos or color matching, which is something like we pride ourselves in, is color matching. So many times keycap set renders are not even close to what their like raw or Pantone is. And then you think about the factory that has been given maybe a render, but what they're really given is like a raw or a Pantone, and then they're matching off of that. And like, there's so many factors in this, and it's surprising how many key sets do not match the corresponding Pantone that is as advertised. It's just like you look at your screen and you're looking at a Pantone book and you're like, oh, it looks like this one, and then you pick that one. But I don't know.
Well, and you know what too, Reagan? Even in my case, like, so GMK, to not really get too much into that, at the current point of time, we can discuss. This is a long conversation to have about GMK prototypes and like samples and stuff. So we're not going to really get into it today. I know we've had this discussion in the past. I think it's on like 2 podcasts ago. But it's difficult from GMK. But in the case of, like, for example, we'll use Infinikey. Even when I got my prototype full set in of Aether, I took photos with my camera. I tried best to my eyesight and using color calibration stuff too to make sure that this was to the T what people were buying. Did you know there were still people who said it didn't look like the photos?
But it's lighting. It's like vibrancy.
Yeah.
Like if you take a picture of a keyboard with the lights on in your room.
Exactly.
And you take a picture of the lights off.
And maybe it was my own fault for not providing things with like warm lighting, cool lighting, everything. Maybe that was on me. And honestly, if there's ever a next time, I'm going to be taking photos of like different lighting styles, like in natural light, with this light, with a light with a bit of a tint of blue, with a tint of orange, with a tint of green. I don't know. Like, I'm going to do everything just to try my best to cover all those bases. Because there's people who have warm lights in the room. Not everyone has a daylight light.
Yeah, like, so we just got renders done for the set we're running right now, GMK Nightshade. And the criteria that we looked for in this, I actually got renders from 2 separate designers. The first criteria was really dark lighting, and the other one was natural daylight lighting. And then there are some shots that have like kind of an in-between, which is an inside room lighting. And so there should be, like, you can see this in every sort of lighting environment to like accurately depict what it may or may not look like in your own situation.
Yeah. But with that also being said, I don't want to use this as a scapegoat for anyone to say that you should be happy with whatever you get. You're allowed to not be happy with it. Like, here's the interesting point is you're allowed to not be happy with what you bought. However, for the most part, I'm pretty positive 95% of people who are doing these things are trying their hardest to make sure that, you know, it comes as close as possible what the renders look like.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's nobody more disappointed than the designer when they get the keycap set and realize it wasn't exactly what they envisioned. I guarantee that. There's nobody more disappointed than the designer in that situation.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there's case scenarios which it's tough sometimes, you know, like we don't want to bring some situations up right now. I just don't feel like getting into it. But it's, you know, for the most part, no one's going out of their way being like, I can't wait to rip everybody off in 9 months when they realize I picked all the wrong colors.
No.
I don't think I've met
last week also about, like, as a, I don't mean me as a designer, but as a designer designing a key set, when you pick colors, I don't know if you'd look at it like there's a bunch of off-limit colors in a Pantone book or in a RAW book, and it's because they are just not physically achievable. Like, Pantone was created so that it's like it's for paper printing. You know, it's not for converting to plastic and then injection molding it, right? Like, how many shades available are there of plastic pellets that GMK can use to then do like injection molding with? They have to mix them and stuff, right? So, like, there's certain colors you pick as a designer that are just not achievable in plastic once you pick them out of a book. So that's where issues have occurred in the past, is just false expectations up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And I'm saying most designers, guys. I'm not saying like every designer's like super, you know, I don't want to rip people up. There's most likely people who are, my limited number of people I've come into contact with, like actually talking to them, aren't. But you know, there could be one or two people.
They exist out there, but I mean,
there's always.
They're not the majority. They're not even probably a large percentage. I mean, yeah. There's always going to be people looking to take advantage of people out there. So.
Yeah, please don't like PM the designer of a set and say how much you hate it. Like, it's just unnecessary. It's already been done. Like, the product's already out and they can't change it, and you're just gonna like make their day miserable, and it doesn't make you any happier.
Mm-hmm.
So just like see how they react to feedback, because I think that's key, and there's certainly a professional way of handling it up to a certain extent. Like, obviously you don't have to lie down and just take it if you're just getting completely lampooned and you haven't been a dick about it. But I think yeah, like the designer is usually they put lots of time and effort into it, and if the set doesn't turn out the way they want because they're not able to get a prototype made, and then it doesn't turn out the way they want, and they go, oh man, like that sucks. Don't tell them that their set sucks and they're a shitty designer, and for the love of God, do not ever post a fake version of their set. Do not ever do that. It's so disrespectful, and it's a great way to get yourself banned from whichever server you just posted that in, because it's just like, it's massively disrespectful.
Yeah. And again, guys, it's completely okay to not be happy with the purchase. Please know though, with the majority, like, we're talking about key sets and stuff. I'm talking, and don't forget, just a disclaimer, these are our experiences and our thoughts. You're completely A-okay, and I encourage you guys, if you guys have different thoughts, have different thoughts. My thought is, honestly, if you're not happy with it, talk about it constructively. You know, if it's really, really off, yeah, contact the vendor, see what they can, see what can be done for you. If you're really that dissatisfied with it. But you know, for the most part, people are trying pretty hard. It's not like, again, you can have a full run of these things to take photos of. It'd be great if photos were, able to be taken of GMK sets. I'm the first person to probably be like, yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. I want to take the photos. Like, let me do that. But it's not feasible at the moment. And like, I'd love it, to be honest. It'd be great to know that what GMK set actually looks like as an actual product photo. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I think like what a lot of us have been kind of saying this whole time, just like having a positive mindset in the community is very key, and it makes a community an enjoyable place to be. If you are toxic as an individual in the hobby, and you surround yourself in an echo chamber of the same level of toxicity, what are you doing? Like, it's a hobby. It should be something that you enjoy. Like, why are you like touting a negative attitude like it's something that the rest of the community would want? Like, just move on.
Yeah, and I hate to tell you, if you're just a toxic person in the community, you're not going to enjoy your time, because you're going to be phased out of all the groups of nice people. They're not going to want you around, and you're just going to be around a bunch of other toxic people. And you're just not going to enjoy yourself in any community for that sake.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say, like, make any purchase, like literally any given item in this entire community, down to the anodized finish of a keyboard, to a desk pad, to a cable, to an artisan, to a key set, that whether or not based on the device you're viewing from or any other factor, just assume a plus minus huge change of like 5 to 10%, and if you can accept that, then spend money on it.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually just echo again what Hot Nuck, I love that name, by the way, said. We can't surround ourselves with an echo chamber of everything's good. Exactly. That's why we even said before, like, healthy discussion is super important. Even before, like, and this is kind of what I wanted to circle back with one time before we moved into Katana's not streaming today.
All right, everybody, pack it up. Let's go home.
Katana's not. Who do we raid? God. Criticism is needed. Like I agree. Criticism is 1,000. That's why I said, like, instead of insults that should happen, it's healthy discussion. Like, how do we make things better? I'm probably, me personally, I'm in no position to give much criticism other than, what I've experienced, obviously. But there are people who are trying to make things better. Like, not everyone's just like, oh yeah, we're happy with where we're at. There's definitely, trust me, there's people trying to make things better all the time with everything. They hear the bad things and are trying their best, but it's never an overnight project. It's not as easy as like 1, 2, 3 type thing. But 100% don't stop healthy discussion. That is not the point. It's to end the negativity that comes with discussion. And even before, like what we were talking, and this is why we bring these things up every week. And I know sometimes they're really hard topics to stomach. Before with keyboard streamers, someone in chat had mentioned, the keyboard hobby isn't exempt from those comments towards women. 1,010%. That's why we even, used one of the keyboard streamers on Valentine's Day as an example. It's tough. It's tough because, like, I do agree that it's not as necessarily bad on Twitch in the makers and crafting section compared. It's still there. It's still 1,000% exists. And I have friends who have, like, and trust me, like, I don't want to even bring up a past situation because it affected me as well. We've dealt with, me even too, we've dealt with our fair share of, like, weird fucking people. More so, obviously, the women of the community too. The one thing I can definitely say, and to end off these conversations, don't stop healthy discussion. Be healthy about it, though. Well, 2 things I'll say. And be the change, for the love of God, be the change you guys want to see. Obviously, it's a positive change. Don't be a negative change. Be the positive change you guys want to see. That stuff there, instead of, like, us talking about this over and over and over and over and over and over again, because sometimes that doesn't help at all. It just creates, like, more lines in the sand. If you guys are literally the person you guys want to see, it's infectious. Trust me about that. A lot of people will look at you and be like, well, why is this person so happy? I want to be like this person. So, in the victim blaming, that's another whole topic. That's just people being idiotic, but not dismissing it at all. Just saying. And they're tough conversations to have. And Minty Boy said they're good topics, though. If you don't want to talk about it, it keeps festering. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just be nice. That's as much as can we still compliment your stash? Yeah, you guys are fine to do whatever you guys want in my chat in terms of complimenting me to a degree. If you guys are getting weird about it, obviously I'll tell you, but just be cool, guys. That's all. Just be chill. One thing though, Chase, did you want to ask Mr. Ashkeebs our normal question?
Yes. Wow, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Every week we like to ask I guess there's 2 things. One is, what's something in the community that you're really enjoying right now that you like see panning out and you're excited for? And then on the opposite end, what's something within the community that you aren't so excited for and you're kind of scared or worried about where it might head? And I guess I'll ask you to start on the negative one so we can end on a positive note.
Okay. I think the lack of legal accountability for fakes, and specifically, I'm not going to name the company, but there are companies that seem to take pride in stealing other people's work, and that is terrifying. And having those companies gain traction is a detriment to the community. There are some that may know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't want to put their name out there because I don't want to attract more attention to them. That is by far one of the worst things that I've seen, and it really hurts designers when they find out that the company is just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, blatantly to the designer's face. That hurts, because there goes, all the effort that the designer put in. And the other company's like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay you anything, I'm just gonna steal your colorway and your designs and then just make
sell
the
it
money
for
myself.
cheaper.
Yep.
Man, yeah, that we have we had fundamentals. It's a 3-month-old set. Like the order just got submitted to GMK, and there's already fakes.
Yeah, dude, there's sets in IC that I already see fakes for. It's fucking nuts.
That's insane. They are fast on the uptake. Like, holy.
They're advertising it in the Geek Hack thread. They're
Yeah.
like, don't want to wait?
You only wait for the fucking group ID to even start? Don't worry, we got you. It's fucking stupid, dude. Like, I honestly don't get it. It's like, I understand, like, the reason, because obviously people are driven by money, but it's fucking crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, dude, Chisel, me too, man. I'm fucking stupid. As a designer, none of us can use our own colorways, to be honest, or none of us can own. No, it's not about that. I think it's just more about namesake. Like, some of the fakes are literally named by the fucking.
It's by the exact same set name, and technically, if you're producing if the product is being produced, there's like inherent IP protection that goes under the product itself. So it is actually like, you can't own the colorway, but you can own the designs within the colorway, and if those are copied, then yeah, that's a huge, that's copywritten. Yeah, exactly what Gambit said. That then becomes a legal issue. But you know, if the company is in a country that you can't be like, hey, by the way, you're getting served. Like, what do you do? So I think that's something to be concerned about. In regards to something that I'm looking forward to in the community, so much going on all the time.
Yes.
I think it's just like a refinement of processes. Like, we're seeing designers and companies and really just everybody as a whole starting to, like, the requirement for an IC, requirement for like an IC for a keycap set, a requirement for an IC for a board. The floor has changed and it's become a lot more meticulous, but I actually think that it's a good thing. It really pushes whoever is designing the product to be able to produce something that is at, I would say, a good standard. Like for keyboards, a lot of the time, if you have a design, being able to have a prototype to show people what it is that you're selling them on is huge, and it speaks volumes about the effort that you're putting into your design project. You can't always do that with keycap sets, so we do as much as we can, like having novelties and desk mats and working on collaborations. Like, I love getting to see the community work together on design projects. Like, it's not something that a lot of communities can do. And getting to see that there is starting to be a bit of a standard for ICs being released, I think it's a good thing, because it can filter out people who may not be quite as, not necessarily that what they're working on is bad, it's just that they need to go back and need to put a little bit more effort into it, need to refine it a little bit more, take the feedback that's given, and use it to make it a product that you can be proud of once it's produced. And especially, like, you're selling it to the community, so the most important thing is listening to the feedback. You don't have to take all of it, but watching projects change in a positive way by taking positive feedback from the community, like, it is a really nice thing. And like, getting to look at some ICs where the designer maybe didn't see it because you're a little blind to the own design project you're working on, and someone goes, hey, maybe you should add X, Y, Z keys to your set, maybe you should change the contrast on it, maybe go for a slightly brighter, like more vibrant Pantone because it'll show up better on the keycaps. Like, it's all these little things I see that I really like. Yeah, I think it's important to bring a level of quality if you're wanting to sell a product, but at the same time, you should also stand by the vision that you had originally, and be proud of what it is that you're making, and make sure you're putting a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think even too, I'm starting to see more good criticism, not just like LOL sucks type thing. Especially in some ICs. A lot more like, hey, like this would be better for next time. So I think there's a lot of in the right directions. There still exists, obviously. We're not going to turn a blind eye to that, but a lot more better criticism these days. That's actually constructive.
I like Salvin's advice in your earlier stream today, which was something along the lines of, do your best.
Yes.
And then do better.
Do better for sure. And to answer Hot Nuck's question, to me, it's an ethical thing. If I wanted to be a keyboard content creator, I wouldn't accept anything from anyone, so my ethics could never be called into question. I agree and disagree, because there is bias in terms of personal taste, and then you end up finding like a company that you're comfortable with, and then you end up becoming biased to that company to a degree. Like, there's always going to be a bias, like a level of bias, a level of preference. I think it's important to like call out more objective things that are wrong, but especially in the keyboard hobby, like for example, you guys know I've worked with TKC. When I got sent Dragon Fruit switches, I hated them personally. However, I know there's still people who like them. I told everyone I didn't like them. In fact, I didn't even do a review on them post that, because I didn't really care for the switches at all. But there's some people who absolutely love the switches, right? So it's really hard to give some. It's really hard to review some products. It's tough. It's tough, and even with keyboards, it's like, I hated the Noah to a degree. Like, I hated the sound profile of the Noah, but I know for a fact there's probably people, and I know the majority of people probably don't like the Noah keyboard. Not the way it looks or anything, just the sound profile. But there's a ton of people who probably like it, and there's probably a lot of people who end up modding it, and I have mine mod it, and it sounds not too bad now. So there's a lot of like interesting things. I've worked closely with Gray Studios on like the Think 6.5. I'm still very much like a little bit like sad that they didn't like, and we mentioned this during the prototype stream, which was the plate was a bit tight. Does that ruin the whole build? No. Does it ruin the build experience? Yeah, it does. However, they did fix all the other things that we had seen and pointed out. So yeah, there is some level of like working with companies and sponsorships that could make you, I guess, like in theory, make you bias. But I think anyone who's responsible with managing sponsorships, affiliates, as content creators, even outside of the keyboard world, will understand that in the agreement with that person, they shouldn't let that stand in front of it. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's easy to say at the beginning, but down the road, even if you accept nothing from anyone, you're going to develop like a preference, which in turn becomes a bias to any viewers who are watching you. And everyone has their own preferences. That's why lately I talked about it this morning, I've been having more conversations with more people about the responsibility that I might have. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting conversation to be had. I feel like I need to experience the build process. I only have an NK65, and in 30 minutes I was using it. Hopefully I'm able to get a higher end board and assemble it. Yeah, and I think it's all about personal preference too. There's a serious lack of sticker options with orders. I'm the complete opposite side of the fence. I have so many fucking stickers, I don't know what to do with them. And for the love of God, please stop sending me stickers, everybody. I don't want them. Like, I literally don't have any space for stickers anymore.
Mr. DFW mechanic, also, if you want to put some more time past 30 minutes into that NK65, if you lube your switches, I promise you will have a lot more than 30 minutes into that keyboard there. That'll be a couple hours of your life gone. But yeah, it can be very well worth it. It's very what's the right word? I don't know. At the end of it,
it'll be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want some help and any advice on how to lube, I mean, this is just a message to chat. Feel free to pop into my server and ask questions. I have channels that are devoted to lubing questions and like switch modding questions. So like, come and have a chat. Don't be afraid to ask, simpler, complex questions. Either myself or somebody else will be happy to give you an answer. And experimentation is part of the fun. So yeah, just dick around and find out. Really.
There you go.
That's the best way to put it.
There you go.
But this was 2-hour Keebcast, probably one of our longer ones. We enjoy Mr. Ashkeebs' presence. I just want to reiterate, because there was a lot of stuff discussed again. These are just our opinions. If you want to differ with them, feel free, talk to us. I learn stuff all the time. You guys teach me things all the time, and I'm the first person, I try to anyways, not make assumptions. I try to speak off my experience, and sometimes my experience isn't always the general consensus, and I'm sure everyone else in this chat can agree. Everyone's experience through life is always going to be different. All I can say is take from this, from the harder stuff that we talked about today, is just try to be your best to be a good person and treat other people like you want to be treated. And if for whatever reason you want to be treated like an asshole, then don't treat other people like an asshole, okay? Like, I know there's that caveat there that someone's going to bring up and be like, but what if I like being, hit in the face? Don't hit other people in the face. Don't do that.
Who says that, though?
Dude, I've literally had people say that to me. They're like, I like being an asshole. Okay, so don't be an asshole. Just be nice, okay?
Go look in the mirror and be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly that. Anyways, guys, this was Mr. Ashkeebs. If you guys want to check him out, you can hit !guest or !Keebcast. But yeah, that's weird. I know, it's totally weird. The best keyboard is the one you're happy with, and that's even with cameras. Like, the best camera is the one in front of you. Just enjoy what you're doing. That's as much as I can actually say. Just enjoy what you're doing, dude. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest thing.
I want to say. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you mind if I answer one question that Rusty Panda posted? What are your plans or goals to set yourself apart from other Canadian vendors? Any projects in the pipeline, etc.? So goals or plans to set myself apart. I think starting with the Lube service kind of did a little bit. It was a service that wasn't widely available at the time, and now moving more into like being a vendor for multiple design projects. I really like the way that we've been able to do landing pages for projects and the animated banners.
I appreciate those. As someone who works with you on a lot of projects, you always show us all up, so those are awesome.
Those are cool.
I think, like what we want to do is be able to really highlight the design projects that people have put a lot of time and effort into, and to be able to represent it in a way that other websites may not necessarily do, whether they just don't think about it or they don't have the time. Dixie Mech, now OmniType, was an excellent inspiration for those landing pages, because Garrett he's a UI UX designer and put an amazing amount of effort into those pages, and it's such a great way to show off the keycap set and whatever project it is.
I like OmniType's whole website though. It's always been
so good.
It's always been definitely like very clean, like very like, ooh, this is the website feel. Even like, for example, I'm not saying that the products aren't premium, but even if you were to put like a sticker, which he has stickers on there, it feels like you're buying a more premium sticker.
Yeah,
because of the website experience, aesthetics, dude.
Yeah, I think in the end, I would like for the entire website's design to be at like an aesthetic level of, let's say, Rama, or example outside the community, Louis Vuitton. Just a very consistent UI UX design language that is just really accessible to the consumer. Projects in the pipeline. Well, Reagan and I, on and off, have been talking about Lube stations, so hopefully I can actually pull my finger out and help get that organized.
There you go.
See how that goes.
You've got new Crytox?
Yes, we have XHT. I am designing a board with somebody in the community, hoping to be able to get with them a little bit more. I have some switches that I'm working on, which I'm finalizing with the factory, and those will get sent out to a bunch of my lovely streamer friends to try out. And I'm always open to other projects as well. I really want to move into the world of board design more heavily as I finish up my second set. So I'll probably end up chatting with Reagan about little tips here and there, because he's super on the ball when it comes to that. And if anyone has any feedback about the site, or about things they'd like to see me add, please let me know. I am here for the community, so let me give back and make it as easy as possible for all of y'all.
There you go. And Average Joe Geek, dude, I actually 100% agree with that. I got baited the other day because the sold out actually isn't clear enough. You're 1000% right on that. I mean, like, you obviously can't buy the product because it's sold out. So, but I will agree with that. That's definitely. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that said sold out, and then I saw where the sold out sign was. I'm like, oh, okay, it's really small. Agree, dude. I get you baited every time, dude. Me too. But thank you guys. I just also want to continue to thank you guys. We're gonna raid Kimchi. Continue to thank you guys for allowing us to have responsible and mature discussions. I learned a lot tonight, so thank you guys. There's gonna be some stuff I think about too. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for understanding sometimes that we have to have, I guess, crappy conversations that will feel crappy sometimes. Because I think everyone would like it to be, you know, roses and sunshine every day, but sometimes it ain't that.
Do we still have everybody here, or have they left for the raid yet? Has that started already?
Well, it's starting, but...
I wanted to say, before everybody goes, there's an opportunity to support both Ashkeebs and Reagan, as they are both running GMK Nightshade right now. So if you're interested in GMK Nightshade, go to gmknightshade.com, or you can go to either one of their websites and look up the set. It's a really cool set, and both of them are running it. So great opportunity if you're in Canada or in the States to support either one of them.
There you go.
Thank you, Chase.
Thank you, Chase. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Enjoy Kimchi's stream. I guess you can spam him with hearts or something. We can spam ooh-woos. There you go. Give him some ooh-woos, dude. All right, guys. Take care. Love you guys. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and we'll see you guys next week on Keebcast. Take care, guys. Bye.